Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome, everybody, to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm your host, Jersey Ed, along with my two co-hosts. Finally, Tiff is back this week, feeling much better. And Tyler, Noon, and Tiff. Noontime with Sky. First of all, I'd like to thank Genesis House for their ongoing support of this podcast. And of course, guys, without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. And, if you're struggling, like I always say every week, listen to that commercial, rewind a little bit. You don't have to always listen to this, the whole podcast, rewind back to Genesis House and figure out if you really do need to, some help, listen to what they say on that commercial, and maybe you can identify with something in this and on this podcast too. But if you need some help, give the great folks over at Genesis House a call. The phone number is up there and they can help, or reach out to one of us on the show, help at Friends in Recovery Podcast, or well, I wouldn't comment below if you're struggling. Just send me a private email and we'll help out better that way. Today's show, we're working on Tradition 3 because it is the last week of the month, and Tradition 3 is what we're working on. And we have a special guest today, Joe S. from Dayton Strong Recovery 101 podcast, who found us and we found him, and we're listening back and forth to everybody's show. He does a wonderful job. We're going to get to know Joe in a little bit, and stay tuned for that and some amazing recovery. Guys, before we get into everything as far as what the meetings and all that, I just want to let everybody know what we're using today. Today, I will be using the 12 and 12. Tiffany will be using the 12 and 12 as far as literature goes. Tiffany will be using the 12 and 12, the Big Book and the AA Grapevine. Skylar is using the NA Basic Text and how and why. And Joe has the 12 and 12 pulled up too. So that's the literature we'll be using. So you guys can go scatter and go grab that stuff now while we go on to some important stuff here. Remember, you can always email us at help at friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. If you have any questions, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you want to tell me how nice my hair looks, that's fine. Do all that. But you get
how nice my hair looks, which
Tiff, it's
really hard to get used to this dark color right now.
And I have no hair.
Yeah.
We got variety up in here.
You gotta get one of these. These are the best right here.
Hey, I can do the mohawk thing if I want to. So.
There's a man comfortable in his recovery. The 4 people that watched this show just seen that.
I was one of them.
Yes, you were. So 3 people, because
No shit.
God. Tiff, what do you got for our meetings? Anything new?
We do have meetings twice daily at noon and 7 p.m., as well as our additional meetings, such as like the alumni and friends at 8:15 on Tuesdays. Don't forget our big book study on Sundays. But I do want to let everybody know that we are on the AA intergroup.org website now for all of our 7 p.m. meetings. And I want to point out that on our Friday night meeting, it's Celebrate Friends in Recovery. So it's a little bit more Christian-based meeting. It's led by Rob Hooper. It's awesome. Yeah, go Hoop. And it's been just a really an incredible meeting. So join us on Friday nights for that more of a Christian-based meeting. And then we have a new meeting, which has been on Saturday mornings at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join us in the mornings on Saturdays. And all those meeting lists are available at genesishost.net under connections. You can find the 7 p.m. meetings at the aa-intergroup.org website. And then also, Carl also puts all of our meetings in the information in the chat. And if you have any questions, of course, comment below or help at Friends of Recovery Podcast or Friends of Recovery Community at gmail.com. You have all sorts of ways to get a hold of us. So reach out and we can get you connected with any meeting that we have. We're up to almost 3 meetings a day, guys.
Yeah.
So, and especially I want to give a shout out to the loved one support meetings on Mondays are really growing. We've seen such incredible growth with the loved ones in the community. So lots of support for lots of addicts and alcoholics, and they're supporting each other now and they're growing with that. So that's awesome. That's on Monday nights at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So that's all I have for meetings this weekend, other than I do have the coin challenge.
Oh yeah. What's the coin challenge?
No longer, like I said, this is the last week I will use this joke. No longer in the condom wrapper, but the Friends in Recovery, zooming through recovery coin. Bill and Bob here on this. Attend any 30 Friends in Recovery meetings, any honor system. Give us a shout out or a shout at either at the email addresses or comment below, and we will get your coin out to you as soon as you've attended 30 Friends in Recovery meetings.
Yeah.
And that's all I have.
You can do that in 1 week if you think about it. If we have 3 meetings a day, right? A little over a week, you can do it. You could come in, slam in 3 meetings a day for maybe 10, 11 days, and then walk out with a coin.
It's a really nice coin, you guys.
It's right. A really nice coin. But you'll want to stay because of the recovery. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. So thanks, Tiff. Good meetings. And that new beginners meeting, Tiff and I are going back and forth, kind of running that. So if anybody wants to step up and chair a meeting, come on. Let us know.
We're looking for people. Anybody who has 90 days or more of continuous sobriety. If you're looking to do some service and lead a meeting, we have meetings available for you guys to step up and lead. So that Saturday morning meeting is a newcomers meeting, but it's open for everyone. Yeah. The more people we have on there, the better. We're just focused on helping the newcomer on that meeting specifically. So join us on Saturday mornings at 8 Eastern Standard Time. I like it. I'm an early riser.
Yes, absolutely. And also we're going to have our website up soon. I know I keep on saying it, but we will have the website up soon. I just got a note from the web designer and he said it's close. So, and then we can cut out all that bullshit and just say, go to fucking not fucking Friends in Recovery. It's probably friendsinrecoverycommunity.org, but you could try fucking friendsinrecovery.org. I don't know where it's
Maybe we should buy that one too.
Might be cheaper. Well, no, might be more expensive. So anyway, Guy, what do you got as far as the all the social media stuff?
So we have this app called Telegram that we are all on, and everybody's numbers on there. You search us, and then it's a big group text with a bunch of us. Sometimes people put in different positive things. Sometimes people say, "Hey, I need to talk," and then we have different ways to stay connected. Social media, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Podbean, all those places. Honestly, to find, like they were saying, if you need help, you could probably Google all of our names and get our cell phone numbers. If you Google Skylar Noon, you will, and in quotes, you will be able to find my number from the Genesis House website. If you need help, 911, text me 911 or give me a call 8 times, whatever. I don't care. But if you Google Friends in Recovery or any of our names, you will find probably all of our cell phone numbers even. Yeah. So talking personal here.
You just go through a couple shows back, like maybe last year, and we were giving our fucking cell phone numbers on the.
That's how I found you guys.
That's how Tiff got us a couple
I
of years
thought you guys were nuts.
And like, honestly,
now I'm like, here's my number.
I know. So now you get it. Now you get it.
Yeah.
You're willing to do whatever it takes for the common purpose, you know? And aside, like these bringing back awesome feelings of pods, like what, back in the day we would throw them.
Oh yeah.
This is an awesome challenge to do for accountability, you know what I mean? Be responsible. Like, so it goes so much deeper than just an awesome coin. Like when we earn these in recovery, they are literally something we earn. Like, you know, so I love all my coins. I take pride in them, you know? So, so all right. Service. Another thing too with service. If you guys want to get involved in service, just get a hold of me. I have tons of ways, whether you have 1 day or whether you have 1,000 days, it doesn't matter. We'll find service for you. Whether it be writing people in treatment, sponsorship, whatever. We have tons of ways. We have a sober shout out. We have 19 months for Joe.
Joe on the show here. Joe S. Woo. Yay, Joe.
And, so this is a really big deal right here. So for the last 2 years, there's been a community that has not fallen apart. It's been nothing but growing, actually, exponentially. And
Amen.
It's a 2-year anniversary for the Friends in Recovery community.
That's right.
And that is amazing.
Yes.
2 years, we stuck it together. You know, we've held it together and keep growing. Not only that, we didn't fall apart. We kept growing.
I know.
We're doing something right. I love it.
I know.
All of us drunk and drug addicts, just keeping our shit
That's why I
together.
joke, because it's like thinking about where we came from to now where we are, keeping a community together for 2 years. That's a big deal.
I know. I had a hard time calling my drug dealer, let alone keeping all this crap together. I think I'm like, what are you like? Are you kidding me? Like seriously, but we've kept it together. It's going. I want to thank all the nurses. That nurses are a big part of our community. We like to thank all the nurses, that are on there, and anybody that comes on, all the people are coming on from AA now. I mean, that they're adding so much on. It's just it's just really amazing. Meetings are growing. And listen, if we have 10 people that want to share a meeting, we'll add 10 more meetings.
Exactly. We'll keep growing.
Yeah.
I had an idea. I was just going to approach you about making the Sunday meetings a hybrid meeting, because I have a lot of local people that there's not a Sunday meeting locally here in my community.
So if you have ideas, definitely.
Yeah. I thought, why not just make the Sunday night meeting a hybrid?
Yeah.
We could. It all over. We might as well do it here.
Yeah. Ideas and listen, guys, ideas make this world go round. So,
and I don't have, that's the only sober shout outs I have, but I do have, let me see here. I have a couple birthdays that happened this month, and they're kind of some cool people. So I just want to shout them out. I got Ed C. Hey, Rob Hooper. You know, you guys both have sober dates and birthdays in the same month.
Oh, really? Hoop does too? All right. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, exactly. Laura, that works with us at Genesis, her birthday's this month. Jimmy Sivia, and Megan Gannon, and my brother Kanan.
All right.
So we got something to shout out.
All right. We got some kind of shout out. Happy birthday, everybody. Oh God. All right. So is that it? All the announcements? Everybody like at the beginning of the show, we was like, I have to listen to all that crap again. Well, listen, just
a lot of podcasts are like that though.
I know. But it's fun, guys. It's fun. You get to know all the happenings and all the going ons and all that stuff. So
where most of our bloopers come from.
I know. Carl cuts all the stuff out. So we're going to have a bloopers reel one day. So, guys, you can see we have a special guest here today, Joe S from the Dayton Strong Recovery 101 podcast. We're going to get into a little bit about why he's here. And we're going to talk about Tradition 3. But the question of the week, guys, we cannot let that pass. Right. So today I was running this morning. I'm like, holy shit, the question of the week, I completely forgot. Right. So I'm running. I'm like, I see these beautiful flowers all over there. The flowers are starting to come out in Cape May and down the beach. I was like, that is it. I said, I'm going to exert my manhood here and ask the question of the week. What is your favorite flower and why? Right. And listen, recovery brought me that I don't care. I don't care if I'm happy, sad, cry, whatever, talking about flowers or talking about trucks or whatever it is. That's what recovery taught me, that I can do that. I don't have to hide behind a mask anymore, right? I don't really have to do that. I can talk with the best of them. I can talk and cry with the best of them, right? And that's what recovery gave me my feelings back. My sponsor always tells me, you guys know my sponsor, the good thing about recovery is you get your feelings back. The bad part about recovery is you get your feelings back, So, so that's it. So I'm going to start with our guest today, Joe. What is your favorite flower and why?
You know, when you asked me that earlier, I said it would be easy for me to answer.
What flowers
like
they got in Ohio? They have flowers in Ohio?
yeah, surprisingly they do. You know, and I grew up in the country, so
Oh, okay.
you know,
There you go.
so like I love lilacs.
Mm.
You know, I don't know if you could consider that it's flower,
Yeah.
Smells so
plant,
good.
flower. Yeah, that and jasmine for some reason I like. And, you know, like we have a lot of dogwood trees around here. So like those smells, the
Oh,
flowers,
yeah.
the trees, the
Yeah.
dogwoods.
Mm.
And honestly, like the jasmine and like the rose and the orange blossom smells when my mom was alive, her favorite perfume, which was based off of all those scents, was Gloria Vanderbilt. So like
Ah.
when I smell those things, it reminds me of my mom.
Yeah.
So like I'm a
There's a lot of
mama's
sentiment.
boy. Yeah, so there's a lot of sentiment to that, but
I love it.
nothing better than opening up the windows and having that smell come through the window of your house. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Sky, I'm going to save you for last tip because you kept us in suspense. So you're going to fucking wait.
And mine's pretty predictable. I feel like
I know
if
what
people
yours
know
is.
me, then they know what it is. But mine is sunflowers, obviously. I grow them out front, and I like what sunflowers signify. This thing keeps falling on me. I like what sunflowers signify. They're like, you know, they're bright, they're happy, they also, I read somewhere about how when they're cold, like they all lean to each other to
Oh,
stay
wow.
warm. So there's like a unity factor there, which is like what I'm all about. Like I love unity, being together. And I just think flowers in general, like it's a seed. It starts as a seed and it grows into something beautiful. And then we harvest it, we keep it going, we plant it, we fertilize, like, do all these things. So flowers are really deep if you want to think about recovery in that aspect, you know, and think how much
Absolutely.
meditating and stuff you're doing while you're out there looking at them flowers. Like, and he said the smells, like that's really cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, you're right. And Joe, yeah, I mean, you have to really you can't be using and drinking to smell the flowers. I mean, you really don't you're not going to open your windows. You're not going to open your fucking blinds, let alone open your windows, right?
I gave two shits less about flowers.
It was clogged up from the coop.
I know.
What flowers?
I know exactly. So, yeah, so that's good. Yeah, that's and the seed thing. I never thought about that. That's actually, we
Mustard
grow.
seed.
Yeah, we grow from our recovery. We have to water. We have to take care of it. We have
Weed
to
it.
nurse it, weed out the bad. We bring in the good, fertilize it with good stuff. And that's what we do with our recovery. So
yeah, that's what we were taught in treatment was the grow a plant and keep a plant alive while you're in treatment. That was one of the tactics that they threw at us. And it stayed alive until I brought it to my girlfriend and then she killed it.
Women are known to do that, Joe. And if he wants to reveal his age, it's okay if he doesn't, but you would never believe how old this guy is. We'll get back to him in a minute on that, but I just want you guys to guess how old he is in your mind, and then we'll get back to that. Tiff, go ahead. What's your favorite flower? I won't let you go last. I'll go last.
Okay. My favorite flower is the Gerber daisy.
Oh,
I love the Gerber daisy. It's just bright and it's cheerful. It was my mom's favorite flower. It was something like it wasn't introduced to me until later on in life. Like when my mom found it, like I don't know if she found it at a store or something. She was really kind of had a green thumb. But anyway, the Gerber daisy, just bright and cheerful. And I just love it. I just love it. They look so pretty. And you see them like adorned everywhere now. So, and you can find them fake and you can find them real and you can find them everywhere. So I love the Gerber daisy. That's my favorite. And again, it ties to my mom, same as what Joe had said. It reminds me of my mom, and everybody knows that my favorite flower is the Gerber daisy. So
Gerber daisy
girl.
The two-tone ones are the bomb. Like the
Yes.
two-colored ones. Yeah.
Yeah, those hybrid ones, like they're incredible.
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Friends in Recovery Flower Show today. I'm Farmer Ed.
Where you can fertilize your knowledge on planting.
And guys, I guess that leaves me. So my favorite flower, we used to call them snowball bushes when we were growing up. Hydrangea.
I love it.
I know. So my mom and dad had, when we bought our house in Sayreville, New Jersey, we had all these beautiful snowball bushes. Yeah, I didn't know what they were called, so we called them snowball bushes all over. I mean, just incredible. But my dad went and cut them all down. Like, I was like, what is he doing? My dad was an alcoholic and a drunk. I mean, he meant well, but he probably just, whatever. But my mom loved those bushes. And so the hydrangeas. So I grow, I'm going to be selling my house, and I'm going to be sad to leave behind what Stacy and I planted here.
Or dig that up.
Yeah, it won't grow where we're going. They grow so well at the beach, in that misty, sandy soil. And just I sit on the porch in the morning, and these bushes are huge in front of my porch. And and I think of my mom and my dad and him cutting everything down, and my whole life going to shit. No, I'm just kidding. but no.
Our neighbors have hydrangeas, and they're so beautiful. And I sneak over there in the middle of the night and I cut them when they're in bloom.
I hope they're not listening.
Because you can dry them.
Yeah, you could.
You can dry them and spray them.
There's still a couple on there I have to cut them off. Yeah, absolutely. So
that's awesome.
Good. Well, that is the flower show for today for Friends in Recovery. But no, I mean, guys, you know what? Again, we could talk about anything in recovery. You know what I mean? Before, we wouldn't be able to do that. And again, we're getting to know each other and understand each other. And when I was posing this question, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about Joe. I don't even know the guy. I'm like, is he gonna want to talk about a flower? I'm like, I guess so. So today, guys, we're going to talk about, well, before that, Joe, can you tell us a little bit about you and your show and how you started it? And before we start Tradition 3, because I don't know if we're going to talk a lot about Tradition 3. So I'm just kidding.
Say that every weekend.
I do. I say it every week. Yes. Just tell us, we found you. Well, so we got this comment, and I'll do a lead in for you. We got this comment a couple of weeks ago or months ago. Hey, you guys are great, blah, blah, blah. He really like stroked us. I'm like, oh yeah, we are great. Somebody else thinks we are too. And so we, back and forth, we went back and forth. Then Joe and I finally was able to talk. Joe does a couple, he'll explain what he does. But I started listening to his podcasts and got to know him a little bit. And Joe was the guy that we spoke about last week, Skylar and I, about the mattress, right? I thought that was such a humbling a podcast, what he was talking about his mattress and how he's so grateful for it. Now, just to let you know, he did get an apartment with it and other furniture. He just doesn't live on a mattress. I mean, that's what it sounded like when I listened to it.
But he's grateful for it.
Yeah,
that's the point.
He's grateful. He's behind McDonald's in Dayton, Ohio, in his mattress, brand new mattress. No, that's not how it went, guys. So, but Joe, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for really coming on the show, taking time out of your busy day, taking off of work and coming on to the show. I mean, that's dedication for recovery. Thank you so much. Have at it.
Well, I appreciate it. Like I said, it was how I stumbled across you guys. I honestly don't remember. Was just thumbing through YouTube and bam, there was a recovery podcast. I'm like, sure, why not? And I started listening and I liked what I heard, and like, all of a sudden here I am. It's my morning go-to, it's how I start my day off on Tuesday mornings. It's always there, it's the notifications there. And, I'm same time zone, Eastern time zone. So, at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, that's about the time I get the notification. And that's how I start my day off with my cup of Joe. Wow. And, I started the podcast, I'm going to say roughly, it was the end of last year, on a whim. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I still pretty much don't. I'm just getting better at it.
Join us.
Kind of like recovery, I'm getting better. But it's a passion of mine. 19 months ago, I was homeless and hopeless. Didn't have a clue who the hell I was or what I wanted to do in life. And in such a short period of time, I'm in my own place with my girlfriend now for the first time in decades.
Yes.
I work in recovery as a certified peer recovery supporter. They call us supporters now instead of specialists. In Ohio, I work with the homeless, directly with the homeless. And it's just about the message of hope with me, and carrying the message. And, I'm living proof that we do recover. And it's just, I love doing the podcasting. I love the term or the slogan "Recover Out Loud." It's super important. I hold that near and dear to my heart because everyone has a unique story. Everyone has a unique experience, and they should be heard. If you guys listen to any of the podcasts, you're going to hear me beat that to death. Recover out loud. Share your experience, strength, and hope. Because I feel it's that important. People need to hear your lived experience. That's the power of all of us. The therapeutic value. It's the beauty of all the programs is our lived experience.
Yeah.
And I love sharing. I just
We need to
absolutely love
share
doing
our
it.
stories to heal too.
Oh yeah.
Saying
Absolutely.
that out loud helped me recover so much, just sharing my story out loud. And now I
Pain
get to do
shared.
it every week.
Yeah.
Pain shared, pain lessened. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. That's why I do it. Because I'm still dealing with the gremlins myself. I'm still digging up things of my past and the pain and some of the trauma that I've experienced. I would have never thought a convicted felon that was homeless for decades would be doing the things that I'm doing today. That's why the mattress was a big deal for me. It's the first mattress I've ever bought and paid for with cash in literally 20 years. I mean, that was no joke.
Wow.
And it is a big deal to me. Yeah. Living on the concrete and on the streets and in the homeless camps was my life for a really long time. Really long time.
Now you got your apartment, you got furniture, you got boxes. It's funny. He before we started the show, he goes, "I'm still living out of boxes." That's not a bad thing to do now when you have an apartment because they're
You
going
were
to be
legit living out of
right?
boxes before.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like legit, for refrigerator boxes. They
Yes,
were
your
like-
house was a box. Yeah.
yeah.
Right.
Like, seriously.
You said
Yeah.
recover out loud. And I love that phrase that you say, because like I said, when you share your story, you're actually healing yourself and you're helping somebody else, right? Now, all that past experience is now today's assets for us to help people, and help ourselves. I love Sky's the first person who got me into service. And that was sharing my story via writing letters to people at Genesis House or people in treatment who needed letters.
Yeah.
And now I'm writing it to the corrections department and AA there and different things. And sharing your story, man, is super powerful. I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank
we're
you.
looking forward to this. And like he has a Friends in Recovery. If you're watching on YouTube, he has a Friends in Recovery symbol up there, and never give up. I love that. I love the Friends in Recovery too, but never give up, man. That is amazing. Before we get into this Tradition 3, Joe, tell us how we can find the podcast. God, wait, hold on.
Being strong.
Dayton Strong. Dayton Strong Recovery 101. Good
It's a
Lord.
mouthful. Yeah, I mean, if you go on YouTube and type in Dayton Strong Recovery 101 and or on Facebook or Instagram, all the above. I even started a TikTok, and I'm not a TikToker, but occasionally you'll see something pop up on there. They're all the same. It's Dayton Strong Recovery 101, Dayton Strong Recovery 101 at gmail.com. That's how you can reach us. The Facebook is really the active way to go. There's an open recovery page, which is the business page, and then there's a closed group. Please join, share, hop in there. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun. Very similar to what you guys are doing, just not nearly as large of a platform. But it's recovery. It's an open recovery forum. I am all about all different forms and ways and aspects of recovery. It's not just AA or NA or CR.
Yeah.
Anyone and everyone is welcome. Everyone recovers at different rates, different ways, different strategies. The more, the better. That's how I look at it.
Good.
What a great transition into Tradition 3.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Healing in numbers. I love it.
Yeah. So Tradition 3, I'm going to give you the short version, and then Tiff is going to read you the longer version, but it's pretty easy and quick. Tradition 3 is the only requirement for AA membership is desire to stop drinking. Plain and simple. I thought it was plain and simple until I started reading the tradition. And there is a lot to talk about in this tradition. There's a lot of history in it, which Tiff knows a lot about the history. But Tiff, real quick, would you read the long version of the Tradition 3?
Sure. So Tradition 3 can be found in two places, the long form, both on page 189 which is the back of the 12 and 12, and then also on page 563 in the back of the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so if you want to read the long form, it says, our membership ought to include all who suffer from alcoholism. Hence, we may refuse none who wish to recover, nor ought AA membership ever depend upon money or conformity. Any 2 or 3 alcoholics gathered together for sobriety may call themselves an AA group, provided that as a group, they have no other affiliation. And so that's the long form of the tradition. And it's just basically the same as the short form. It's just a little bit longer, right? And what I like to think of when I think of the tradition is that in AA, no member is better than any other member, right? We're just alcoholics and addicts trying to recover from alcoholism or drug addiction, right? So total equality. That's what I think of when I think of this tradition, is total equality, that we're all the same. And you know, it ensured, I feel like tradition 3 ensured that we would get what we need, and that's each other. We would get each other.
Yeah. Joe, and feel free to jump in at any time, because we just cut each other off all the time and step on each other's toes here. Have at it.
Oh, that's just me.
That's cool.
I'm pretty good at it too. So, but yeah, and I was reading right before we came on, and there's a lot of good stuff in here. A couple things, and Tiff, thanks for reading. But a couple things. There's like 3 things here that kind of stood out for me. Is that you're an A. This is on page 139, the beginning of tradition 3. You are an AA member if you say so. Pretty simple. If you say so, right? Not if
I have that highlighted too.
Oh, yeah. Not if my wife says so. Not if my lawyer says so. Not if the judge says so. When I say so, because that's when the healing starts. Is when we finally admit that we have a problem, right? And then you can declare yourself in. Nobody can declare yourself out. Think about that. Nobody can kick you out of AA, right? I mean,
real quick too, the declaration you're talking about, that's a personal decision too, that you make on your own. You know what I mean? Like that's a decision on top of it, like to make that. Like, so you're like, what choice did we have before we got in here?
To try
and find the next one.
From the NA side, the literature, it says right in there, the choice of membership rests on the individual. It's your choice.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and that's when Bill W., what he said about tradition 3 is that it's a charter for individual freedom. Those were words from Bill W., that tradition 3 is a charter for individual freedom, meaning I get to declare that I am a member of Alcoholics Anonymous. No one can keep me in, or not say I cannot come in, and no one can keep me out. Right.
That's why when we share crazy shit in meetings, they just say, keep coming back, because they can't tell us, get the fuck out and don't come back. They can't say, you don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. They can't say any of that. All the stuff they told us at bars.
Right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That very first paragraph on 139, I feel is the best description of AA membership, where it says, this tradition is packed with meaning. For AA is really saying to every serious drinker, you are an AA member if you say so. You can declare yourself in. Nobody can keep you out. No matter who you are, no matter how low you have gone, no matter how grave your emotional complications, even your crimes, we still can't deny you AA. We don't want to keep you out. We aren't a bit afraid you'll harm us. Never mind how twisted or violent you may be. We just want to be sure that you get the same great chance for sobriety that we've had. So you are an AA member the minute you declare yourself, like you just said, Sky.
Yeah. So the minute you declare yourself, again, Sky, like you said, and Joe backed it up with, that's a decision that we're making, a decision we haven't made in a choice.
What? That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, you can go into an AA meeting and sit there, right? sit there and be on the fence about things, right?
And keep
But
coming back, because if that's the case, just keep coming back.
Exactly. Yeah. I always say the if you hang around a barbershop, you're bound to get a haircut. And that goes for sitting in a bar or sitting in an AA meeting or an NA meeting. Eventually you're going to get it either way. I would opt for the meetings and not the bar, obviously. But yeah, and the decisions that we can make, and think how basic that decision is, just to say I'm an addict and alcoholic, but think how hard it is.
Exactly.
The hardest thing I ever had to do.
Yeah.
Easy and hardest
Right?
thing. Yeah.
It wasn't easy. No,
No.
not at all.
No. And then after I say that, then you want me to work on all these other steps, and I'm a member, but then now I have to do all this other stuff. I mean, it's a lot, but it's what do we say? It's a simple program for complicated people, because we complicate the shit out of it. All I got to do is say, I'm a member. I have a desire to stop drinking. And it doesn't say it doesn't say that you have to come, you don't have to have a desire all the time. You just have to have a desire when you're there to be in that meeting, right? Mm-hmm. And if you go out
there's a lot of controversy around this tradition. There's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of controversy.
Don't bring up Suboxone.
Yeah. Let's just get the elephant out of the room, right? Like MAT programs, which are medically assisted treatment programs, for those of you who don't know.
What page is that on? What page is that on in here?
It's nowhere.
It's going to be in the new one. That medical marijuana.
It's this person living right here, right?
Yeah.
That's, those programs saved my life.
Yeah.
Those programs saved my life, but I wasn't denied any AA or NA membership based on that. But there is a lot of discussion about it. A lot of we've talked about it on the show before. Yeah. Well, Sky's brought it up.
But this tradition trumps any argument, though, is my opinion. Because like the desire I could have the desire to stay on my Suboxone and not use anything else. Yeah. And that's your choice. That's your desire. Like, we're not here to judge.
No.
You know what I mean? Well, like, that's our biggest thing of this tradition. So there really isn't an argument after we read this.
Yeah.
I agree.
So let's go. Well, that's what this tradition was. And if you read through, there were all kinds of, on the next page, it says, it talks about, where the hell is it? It says that they just, at the beginning, they sent in all kinds of rules about being a membership rules, tons and tons. And it says here, the list was a mile long. If these rules have been in effect everywhere, nobody could have possibly joined AA at all. So great was the sum of our fear and anxiety, right? And it goes on to say, they just, everybody just wanted pure alcoholics. Well, shit. I mean, come on. Except for their, where it goes down to here. So beggars, tramps, asylum inmates, prisoners, queers, plain crackpots, and fallen women were definitely out. Can you imagine that? Like, if all those people,
isn't that the entire fellowship?
That's everybody.
Yeah. There'd be no members.
That's me all in one.
You might have a program, but no fellowship.
Or a bunch of fucking liars.
See you guys later. I'm out.
Yeah. But I also want to go into that a little bit deeper, because this book was, I don't know, was written when? Back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, somewhere.
So the 12 and 12 was written 12 years after the big book of alcoholics.
So the 40s. So the 40s. So let's think back to the 40s. Okay. What if you were gay? What if you were black? What if you were a woman? Right? Because they were denied membership, right? Like gays definitely. If they were saying something on a podcast I was listening to, that Bill was wrote a story in the big book, and I'm not a big book person, but Tiff, maybe you can understand this one, about this tradition. And the only thing for membership was a story, and they think it was about a gay person that he came to the conclusion that, okay, so we can't exclude anybody. We have to have this one rule, because they could, gay people were not, it's accepted now, but back in the 40s, forget it.
It was considered a mental illness.
Yeah. Black people with mental illness, criminals. Joe, you said you were in jail. You wouldn't be able to go to AA, right?
Let's get into that a little bit, because if you think about that, right, what we're talking about right now and the evolution of the book and where the traditions came from and everything else. If you were to actually look at the big book on the bottom of page 20 and to top of page 21, It says, what about moderate drinkers? Have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have good reason for it. They have very little trouble giving up the liquor problem, right? Those moderate drinkers.
Yeah.
They can take it or they can leave it alone. Okay, so that moderate drinker is allowed into Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Because they have a desire to stop drinking. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally, right? It may cause him to die a few years before his time. So a bigger problem than the moderate drinker. If a sufficiently strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor, meaning like, hey, this heavy drinker shows up at the doctor and he says, hey, you got you got pancreatitis, you should stop drinking. That heavy drinker can say, okay, I stopped drinking, right? My health is in problem. Or you fall in love. She gives you an ultimatum. You're in or you're out, right? Drink, don't drink, you're out. This guy can stop, right? Change of environment, the warning of a doctor. Anyway, this man or woman can stop or moderate, although he may find it difficult and troublesome and may even need medical attention, meaning like a detox, right? That person's allowed into Alcoholics Anonymous, right? And then now here it says, what about the real alcoholic? Now I'm the one who drinks after the doctor says, hey, you got a problem. Oh, I better go drink and
double up.
That, right?
I gotta drink my problems away.
Says I'm leaving, and I say, oh, I better pick up a bottle and drink about that. Anyway, so when you think about it, like if Alcoholics Anonymous was just for the pure alcoholic who suffered from alcoholism, right? Those real alcoholics that they say, right? That cannot stop the drink problem. Our fellowship would be much different. Oh, yeah. It also would be much different about what about people who get a DWI and are forced to go to Alcoholics Anonymous, right?
Well, Tiff, on page, I want to add to what you're saying. Yeah, and I want to add to what you're saying. This ties into the tradition 3 on page 140. It says, yes, sir, we would cater only to pure and respectable alcoholics, and any others would surely destroy us. So they were worried about their name. They were worried about, so you're going to take all those, like, anybody who committed a crime, anybody, a gay person, a black person, you're going to kind of push them away. Anybody who's drinking heavily that goes and drinks after the doctor. And it says it right there that this is what they were deciding to. It says, besides, if we took all these odd ones, what would decent people say about us? We would build a fine mesh fence around AA, right?
Right.
Joe said it before, there would be nobody in there. There would be nobody in AA or in NA.
When I read the word pure alcoholic, I think like someone who's like, showing nice and pretty on the outside, right? But is really alcoholic on the inside or whatever, right? That pure, like, I don't know, fine representing alcoholic, right? I feel like they would have excluded me as a real alcoholic, right? But the book
we're all
was
liars. We all put a fake. We use those masks. Put those masks up, right?
But that's where the stigma comes from, because we all think of a guy on the pavement with a brown bag, and that's not the reality of what an addict or alcoholic is.
No,
right?
It can be, but it doesn't mean that that's what it always is.
Right.
Joe, what's your take on all this as we're going through it? Because jump in, man. You're not going to get an edge word with all three of us. Right? So just jump the fuck in.
I mean, I agree with everything that's being said. There's a lot of stigma towards what an alcoholic or an addict looks like. And the way it was then versus the way it is now. Of course, I totally agree with how it is now, but there's still a lot of arguments and stigma with MATs now and Vivitrol shots and medical marijuana coming into the field.
Yeah.
And I mean, me personally, like I just shared before, I'm open to any and all, whatever it takes to get you there.
Yes.
And to remain clean, to remain sober, whatever you prefer. It's a win. It's a win. If you're alive and you're still taking a breath and you're still trying and you're not giving up, then it's a win for me. That's how I look at it.
Because the willingness, we can't judge that. Like what you're saying, like that willingness. And then not only that, but like he's going to come into a meeting and hear a message from us in the meeting versus the friggin' methadone line. Just saying, because our methadone clinic's in Camden.
Right. I mean, when you hear the argument of, well, she's using MAT, so she's not clean. That's not my call.
Yeah.
That's not my judgment to say
Yes.
whether you're clean or not. Your sobriety, your clean time is whenever you decide you're clean and sober. That's not for me to decide.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, who am I to say, well, because so and so's she's not using heroin right now, but she's on MAT, so she's still fucking dirty. Who am I to say that? You know, that's not me.
That's not part of the membership.
The MAT is not killing me.
No,
MAT
Right.
is not
sticking a
killing
needle,
me.
a dirty needle in her arm in a back alley somewhere, fucking some guy for the next fucking.
And some are sicker than others, dude.
you know?
We're
Yeah.
taught that.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
there's levels to this shit. Some of us have mental illness with addiction. Hey,
Yes.
that's me.
That's
Yeah.
me too.
You know,
Me too.
Well,
Yeah.
Mental
So-
illness. I was
Levels.
on fentanyl. I'm an alcoholic. I'm a fallen woman. I'm like everything that it says. I'm a beggar. I'm a liar. I'm a cheat. I'm a thief. I'm a what? Like.
yeah.
Are you
I
a
love
plain,
that
My
song.
a
ultimate
plain
authority.
crackpot? I like how they use queer and plain crackpot. I'm like, oh my God, it's like,
I would
I
someone
have
like
done
how
8 words.
progressive. I like how progressive this tradition was written.
yeah.
Actually, for the 1940s. Think about
Oh,
that.
I agree.
Right?
I agree.
I mean, he's opening up the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous to everyone.
That
Everyone.
probably was a big risk at first.
yeah, huge risk.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, because
Right?
think about it. Would you want to be in, I mean, as an average white man in the 40s, would I want to be in a room with a black man or a gay man? I mean, the
Or
black
a homeless guy that
a
smells.
homeless guy. Yeah. I mean, let's think about it. In the 40s, guys, black people were drinking from their own water fountains. They were walking in the buildings through back doors. They were sitting separate in restaurants and stadiums. I mean, this is huge. This is like a huge step for society, like to have all these people under one roof, one melting pot, in one membership. Shit, there's probably golf clubs today that women can't get into, or black people can't get into today. I mean, that's
Mhm.
still today. I
Still,
mean,
yeah.
think about it.
The 40s
And
weren't even that
you gotta
long
pay
ago.
money to get into those. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is, like you said, Tip, this is definitely something that's, like very way ahead of their time. Like when he wrote
Way
it.
ahead of their time, but still so controversial today.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely.
You think it would have been ironed out by now.
Yeah. I really would have thought that. But when it comes down to it, there's the page before that what talks about, they could barely keep anybody sober as it was, their candlelight was blowing out. They were talking
Yes.
about that, like a candle in the wind.
Mhm.
And they were just more worried about that it was going to be them next, that their candle was going to blow out, right? We're all dying from this shit. So why can't we all
Mhm.
get together and
Yeah.
just stay sober, right?
Yeah.
Work to get to achieve the common goal, right? And that's to help the suffering alcoholic and addict.
Mhm.
Well, the other thing too is if I'm coming to AA, all I want to do is stop drinking, right? And we're keeping it simple. Just the only, I'll even be honest with you. When I came into AA, I didn't even want to stop drinking, right? I didn't want to stop drinking. I wanted to maybe figure out how I can just get around it. Okay, let's tone it down a little bit. Maybe I shouldn't be drinking the Sambuca and the Wild Turkey. Maybe it's just the Molsons, and maybe I'll just drink the Budweiser. That's what I was looking for. So even when I came in, I really wasn't even a member. I was trying to figure out how can I do this?
It can be gradual.
Yeah, exactly. So
The
You
NA
know-
How and Why says a great thing. What you just said, our motives for coming to NA aren't particularly important. The desire to stop using may not be clearly realized, and it may be no more than a subtle yearning for relief from pain. But the yearning often drives us to seek solutions we might otherwise never considered. So
Right.
you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's the experience. We hear of other addicts, and then we hear, you know what I mean?
When I came into the rooms, and I'll get personal here for a little bit, I thought I was a drug addict. So I went to an NA meeting and I heard the same, and I was very early in recovery. So I thought I needed an NA meeting because I thought I was a drug addict. And I heard that same talk. Oh, you can't be on a maintenance program and be an NA. That's what I heard. That's what I heard members talking about. So I got turned away from NA. I ended up in an AA meeting eventually down the road. fully still not believing that I was an alcoholic.
Mm.
I just was a drug addict who fucking drank 24/7, 24/7, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't, call it divine intervention or whatever, got me to the rooms where I needed to be, because I feel like if God wouldn't have got me into that Alcoholics Anonymous room, I may never have realized that I was an alcoholic, right?
Mm.
I never was able to hear the stories where somebody said to me, I started drinking when I was at age 11. Okay, that was me, right? I started drinking when I was at age 11. When alcohol stopped working for me, drugs started working for me, and then the whole process came together. But I fully thought when I joined AA that I could just stop drinking. Like I could just take it or leave it. But it's not the truth. It wasn't the truth.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I was accepted because I got each other. Like I said, right? We got each other.
Where you fit in.
That's right. That's right. Well, you know
Right.
what? That's what would say. What it said at the end of the paragraph, or the second paragraph on page 140. We build a fine mesh around a recovery program, around AA, around NA. Like we can't do that. And Joe, you said it before. It's not up to me, right? It's not up to me to say what's going to keep you sober. I know my program, right? And why do we need to build a fine mesh fence around recovery? Like recovery like at the treatment center, we don't treat everybody the same way. Some people want NA, some people want AA, some people want, celebrate recovery. They want everything different. We cannot treat that person the same. We can't put everybody on the same medications. We can't do that at the treatment center. Why do it in a program like AA and NA or any of the A's? Let the people be what they need to be. As long as you're not getting high, as long as you're staying out of the streets, as long as you're staying clean, to where you can function, right? And a lot of this Suboxone and Vivitrol and all this makes people function. Now, I wouldn't suggest staying on. Now, this is my opinion. This doesn't mean anything. I don't suggest staying on for a long time, but just help you get through so you don't fucking die. So they don't find you in the fucking woods somewhere with a needle in your arm.
20 years to stay off heroin. Stay on it for fucking 20 years to stay off heroin, right?
Yeah, exactly.
On page 141, it says, the answer, now seen in tradition 3, was simplicity itself.
Yeah.
At last, experience taught us that to take away any alcoholic's full chance was sometimes to pronounce his death sentence, and often to condemn them to endless misery. Who dared to be judge, jury, and executioner of his own sick brother?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So, bitches, we're over, right?
That's why there's service. There's service in this tradition. I hate to tell you all that, but definitely if you guys want to get in service, don't be judgmental.
Yeah.
Help. Here's the spiritual principle, helpfulness, right?
Yeah.
Acceptance, unconditional love. What?
Yeah.
And then tolerance, right? We got tolerance here, compassion, anonymity. Because then once I get mad that I just saw that the girl from high school that I couldn't stand, I got to keep my mouth shut. I just saw her.
Yeah.
Because that's respecting the member, because I'm in this fellowship and I respect the fellowship.
Absolutely.
And then we got humility. So, I mean, like they're all awesome spiritual principles we practice here in service.
Right. And this tradition is a really big around all of that, right? In the Great AA Grapevine, the first question says, in my mind, and this is for each of us, do I prejudice some new AA members as those who likely will not make it? So do I look at other AA members as when they walk in the door, they may not make it? Do I prejudice those members?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've done that before. I mean, I have personally, you know what I mean?
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this dude, he ain't got a fucking chance. He's already screwing around and he's doing this and he's doing that. And like the focus is completely off of me and on them.
Yeah.
And,
Yes.
I've done that many times. Totally lost focus on what was important, and that was me and my recovery, and not worrying about Tom, Dick, and Harry and what the fuck they're doing. That I've done that a lot.
Yeah.
And another thing that hasn't really been brought up was like in the meetings, the old timers that are hardcore AA or hardcore NA, and you get into the clarity statements and identifying as an addict or an alcoholic. oh my God, there's people here that lose their fucking marbles if you say you're an addict and alcoholic.
That have
in a
bigger problems
meeting.
than alcoholism.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
And I mean, I've seen people literally ask to leave meetings before,
Yeah.
which obviously we know is wrong, but it's just, it's
Well, that's
crazy.
where autonomy
how,
comes in and all that stuff for the group.
Right,
So we'll get there
right.
later in that tradition.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause they kind of can run their own. That's where but here's the thing. It can get confusing with that, but they all need to be in place. The steps and the traditions for it to continually flow. The program. It really does, you know?
So it says in the 12 and 12, it says there was a case like that, right? It talks about a newcomer appeared at one of these groups, knocked on the door and asked that he be let in.
Yes, I was going to bring this up. Yes.
He talked frankly with the group's oldest member. He soon proved that his was a desperate case and that above all, he wanted to get well. But he asked, will you let me join your group since I am a victim of another addiction, even worse, stigmatized than alcoholism? You may not want me among you, or will you? There was the dilemma. What should the group do? The oldest member summoned two others and in confidence laid the explosive facts in their laps. Said he, well, what about it? If we turn this man away, he'll soon die.
Mhm.
If we allow him in, only God knows what the trouble he'll brew.
Yeah.
What shall the answer be? Yes or no?
Mm.
At first, the elders could look only at the objections. We deal, they said, with alcoholics only. Shouldn't we sacrifice this one for the sake of many? So went the discussion while the newcomer's fate hung in the balance. Then one of the three spoke in a very different voice. What are we really afraid of? He said. What we're really afraid of is our reputation. We are much more afraid of what people might say than our trouble this strange alcoholic might bring. As we've been talking, 5 short words have been running through my mind. Something keeps repeating to me. What would the master do? What would the master do? Not another word was said. What more indeed could be said?
Yeah.
So it even handled it there in 1940, right?
Yeah.
Or in the late 1940s.
That gave me goosebumps.
I know.
Right?
Yeah.
But and again, it goes back to the page before that where we can't be the judge, jury, and executioner. We just can't be, because we don't know what that person's going through. Because as sure as shit, if you turn that person away, you know, if this tradition wasn't in place, you know they were going to die, hands down. Because where else would you go get help? Especially back in the 40s. Even today, where would you go get help? You know, like there's treatment centers, there's all kinds of stuff. But can you imagine Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous turning somebody away? What that would do to them? I mean, we're down and out as we come in. I don't want to be walking into the church at 8 o'clock at night, because everybody knows on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock what the fuck you're doing there,
Right.
you know, let alone being fucking asked to leave, you
Right.
know?
So next
said.
question is there some kind of alcoholic whom I privately or publicly do not want in my AA group?
No.
100%. And I think that I'm totally allowed to say that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I'm going to accept them and love them for the primary purpose of staying clean and
Yeah.
sober. But it doesn't mean I got to hang out with you. I'm going to fellowship with like my like-minded people. And that's okay, because we need everybody in this fellowship. Every kind. Doesn't matter what you are, yellow, brown, blue. This person talks this way. That we need all you guys. We need everybody, because it makes up us. And you know, so that's where I'm at with that.
Well, there's always that one person in the meetings that would share, and it was me for a long time, that would share about the same shit. Like I shared it, and you guys know my story about that with the beginners meeting and my wife. I was told shut the fuck up. But I was one of those guys that would share the same shit over and over and over. And I listened to him, I'm like, what is this guy doing here? Like he's here because, or she's here because they're getting sober and they can't get past the problem that they have right then and there. And this is why they're here. They're working on themselves, and they should not be excluded at all, you know? But listen, we're human beings. We think that way. Like, you know, like, okay, well, what am I learning from this person? You know, but like Skylar said, I don't have to hang out with that person. I have to just, you know, just welcome them in. That's all. And then I have my like-minded people I hang around with. But who knows what I would learn from that person, you know, the lesson later on down the road. You don't know.
Right. There's a
People
meeting that
open-minded.
I go to in person here, and one of the gentlemen who runs the place, it's called Will Work for Recovery. he always says, I know some of you guys got to cut out right at the hour, to catch a ride or do whatever, but you never know what's shared by, in the last few minutes of these meetings. It might be exactly what you need to hear when you need to hear it,
Mhm.
And I did used to do the same thing. Like there are some kinds that I don't want privately or publicly. I made a mistake of saying it the other day, like those wine shaming moms. I said it. I said the
Well, people,
wine
places,
shaming
and
moms.
things. They don't change just because you're clean. There's still some people that are toxic.
Right.
You
and
know?
I just, like you said, Sky, I just don't need to hang out with them. And then
Yeah.
when I talked to my sponsor about it, she was like, those wine shaming moms that you talked about, she was like, maybe they're just at a different place in their recovery than you are.
Tolerance. Yeah.
Yeah,
Your sponsor
exactly.
reminds you about tolerance.
Acceptance, tolerance,
There was
all
this
these
guy at my
words.
home group that came every year for the month he celebrated and only came to meetings that month. And then we didn't see him the rest of the year. But every year we let him. I mean, but it drove us crazy. But at the same time, like we had tolerance with it. We just accepted him for who he was and where he was at.
Right.
Well,
and it's like in church when people just go to church on Christmas and
Yeah.
Easter,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like I don't know where they're going. What if they're going to a different church every other Sunday that I don't know about, right? Like how many other meetings are there out there? How many other places are there to go? Like who am I to shame people? Like I'm just like
that's like locally, like I'm a Zoom baby, so like I stayed and got clean during this whole pandemic shit. So like we call them NA evangelists, where they'll just verbally come in and throw their NA vomit out, and then they'll share for like 30 minutes and drive everybody fucking insane. And, they're just reading it line for line out of the book. And then they get done sharing and they dip out of the meeting and you won't see them for like 2 or 3 days. And you're like,
why didn't he go?
Yeah. But there's a joke about that I just heard the other day on our favorite station. Well, my favorite station, Joel Osteen. He always starts with a joke, and he said that that there was a guy that he said he was part of the God's army, and and the pastor said to him, "Well, I don't see you every week. You said you're part of God's army." He goes, "I only see you Easter and Christmas." He goes, "I'm part of the Secret Service Army."
nice.
Right? I
Nice.
mean, but you're right. It's those people that that they want to preach and have the recognition, but then they're the first ones to dip out or to
And
run.
I've been that person, Ed. I
Oh, yeah.
have.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And then I'm
have
judging them now because I don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Yeah.
Skylar. You're not
The
unique.
third question says, do I set myself up as a judge of whether a newcomer is sincere or not?
Yes, I do.
I do.
Yes.
That one,
definitely do.
I go more by looks and like what they say.
Oh,
It's like
look at this dumb
I
bitch.
sound like an idiot half the time I share, and I promise you, I really do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've done it before, and it's like with being a peer specialist now, like I'm on the other side of the table, so like I'm seeing myself in my peers.
yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I'm getting it from both directions. I'm like, damn, I used to do that same shit.
Yeah.
Like that's me sitting there talking to myself. It's weird.
Yeah.
But that
I'm
helps
still
build our
adjusting.
tolerance,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I just have to, like Ed, like you said, I think I have to remain open-minded and willing. And, sometimes I'm going to agree to disagree, and that's okay. There's no problem with that. Just because something you're doing works for you and it doesn't work for me doesn't mean it's wrong.
No,
It's okay.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm judging those people, those newcomers with the court cards, right? Like I start thinking, like, are you only here? It doesn't mean they don't have a desire to stop drinking.
Yeah.
Right.
Or in
I mean,
3
I
weeks
used to
they
go
get
to I used to go to meetings at the beginning for phone numbers for my PO. I was there for all the wrong reasons. I was getting high in the bathroom. I was there to appease my family. I was there because I don't know why the fuck I was there, because I didn't have nowhere else to go. And I knew that the meeting was there and there was hot coffee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's why. The important part of that whole situation is that someone practiced step 12 and they planted that seed.
Mhm.
And it took a long time for that seed to grow. But finally, by the grace of God, I lived through my personal experiences and it grew. Water finally hit it. and it started to sprout. And, that's the hopes for everyone.
Yeah.
Because we never know when it's going to happen.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
some don't have that opportunity and that chance for it to happen. That's the sad part of it. But
And that's
for the
also
ones
the anonymity of this, is that we share, we don't know who's going to help us, like who behind the scenes is, like who made the coffee that morning at that home group, that anonymity, like, and that is going to be like what saved somebody's life. Like, so
Right.
it's just really cool how deep these stuff, the
We
traditions.
really
yeah.
are fortunate to be part of a cool program. I mean,
Yes.
seriously.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Really cool program. Yeah. And we're gonna wrap it up here in a minute. Do you have any more questions, Tiff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was
Do I let language, religion, or lack of it, race, education, age, sexual identity, or other such things interfere with my carrying the message?
no,
No,
I don't.
I
No.
don't.
I don't care who you are, as long it's a selfish program, guys. And if you have what I want, I'm going to take it from you. I don't care what you look like, who you are. If you got something that I want that's going to keep me sober, I'm going to do it. So I have no prejudice against anybody, to be honest with you.
Here's a good one. Am I over impressed by a celebrity, a doctor, a clergyman, an ex-convict? Or can I just treat this new member simply and naturally as one more sick human like the rest of us?
How do you guys feel about being on this podcast with Jersey Ed, the famous Jersey Ed?
I really
I
thought you
think
were a
I
big
think
deal.
there's a little ego. I think it might be a little ego driven to a certain extent, but I mean, you see stuff all over Facebook, like Eminem's however many years old, or Steve-O's so many, or years clean,
Yeah.
things like that. I mean, of course, there's more popularity and there's more people reaching out and saying things. I mean, I'll just be honest, like if Eminem said, "Hey, I'm celebrating 2 years clean," and then Joe from Dayton, Ohio said it, I might get 1 or 2 likes, where he's going to get millions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I want to even take that to my sponsor, like, not take it to my sponsor, but my sponsor was somebody who I always looked up to, because we used together, and then we had this time apart, and then I came into the rooms, and I'm like, holy shit, you're sober? I'm like, fuck, man, you definitely need to be sober. But Andy, you guys know Andy, he's that guy that everybody's attracted to. He's good looking, number one. Has amazing recovery. He's very well spoken, and I like that. I like that draws me to that. You know what I mean? And I can't see me ever having a kind of humble, quiet sponsor. That's number, if that's kind of what you're talking about. I need somebody that's going to kick my ass, that's going to tell me what to do, and then I can go to a meeting and hear him share his experience, strength, and hopes that his sponsor shared to him. I don't think I could sit back and just kind of have a quiet sponsor. Maybe that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think I maybe would get a little awestruck about, if a celebrity walked into a meeting.
Oh, yeah.
How can I not say that I wouldn't? I'd be lying if I didn't say that, right?
So there's going to be implicit biases we don't even know we're doing because of how we're raised and culture, you know what I mean? So
right. But I'm not overly impressed by it. I'm glad I'm not the only administrator who is jacking fucking narcotics from I'm glad when I find other professional human beings, it actually makes me feel good. I'm not alone. I feel like it's getting rid of that stigma, that bullshit, Well,
I love my job.
Yeah.
No, because you see yourself sitting across that table probably almost on a daily basis, right?
Well, in each and every one of my coworkers that I work with, my family, my peers that I work with, each and every one of us struggle with addiction and mental health issues, have backgrounds, have been there and done that, like each and every one of us. And it's a beautiful thing. My supervisor, someone that I reach out to all the time, I think just celebrated almost maybe 30. I may be wrong, between 25 and 30 years. But that's part of our team. It's just crazy to say, we're a team of felons and convicts and, homeless people and things of that nature. It's just,
that are kicking ass at what they do.
Yeah, we're kicking ass at what we do and staying vigilant. I just say, stay vigilant in your recovery.
Yeah.
Which the three of us are doing also, right? You and we're all working. We work for Genesis House, and we're all ex. I lied, I cheated, I stole from my previous employer. I was a drug addict. I'm an alcoholic. I'm in recovery. Yes, but like we all have the opportunity to be professional people now, right? And we work for an amazing company. Like it's how it comes full circle, man, is incredible.
Yeah, because we work at it. We work hard at each and every one of us in these squares work really hard at recovery. That's why we're at today. That's why we have podcasts. That's why we have good recovery. I mean, shit, I'm just listening to Joe, 19 months. It sounds like he has 19 years. Seriously. I mean, come on, real quick. I want guess his age. Guess how old is he? Joe.
51.
51.
45.
I thought he was like
45.
30s.
Kidding. I just said that because you
67.
I'm a 70s baby.
no, so am I. Yeah, Joe and
So
I
am I.
you were the same age, I bet.
There you go.
77.
76.
Yeah. See,
Yep.
When he told me, I'm like, why? I'm like, maybe I'm not watching a podcast the right way, but this guy don't look like he's 45 years old. So anyway,
got that baby face.
he does. It's all that alcohol
There's
and drugs.
There's one last question. It says, when someone turns up at AA needing information or help, even if he can't ask for it aloud, does it really matter to me what they do for a living, where they live, what their domestic arrangements are, whether they have been to AA before, or what their other problems are? So when someone shows up at AA needing information or asking for help, or even if they can't ask for it, does it matter to you what they do for a living, where they live, what are their domestic arrangements, have they been to AA before, or what their other problems are?
I'm the first one to put my cell phone number up to a newcomer on the chat. Like, the guy could be a murderer or whatever. I mean, I'm throwing my phone number up there. I mean,
I've given rides home to people,
I know, right?
I don't even think about it.
We have to be careful with that. Like,
we do.
I know,
yes,
especially with
and
women.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Kinda like on the
especially
fence,
women.
'cause,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
women, and like you might have someone be asking you to do something, you kind of get manipulated into something, scam. You just don't know. You just got to be careful.
Well, there's always the
Joe, you did
13th
a show the other day about intentions or motives of the JFT, like the Just for Today, Joe. I think it was intentions and motives, and you were talking about that. Like, you got to be careful sometimes,
Right.
and that's so true. I really love that you said that, because we don't know necessarily what everybody's intentions or motives are, so we have to kind of take it slow. Watch
yeah,
out.
I mean, and it's gotten a lot easier with social media and different ways to reach out to people. You don't necessarily have to give your direct phone number out anymore.
Sure.
There's other ways that people, like you guys use your chat programming. I've used like WhatsApp. I've used Messenger. I've used a Google phone number before. Like, they don't have to know your address and your actual phone number. Just shoot me a text. If you're struggling, shoot me a text. It doesn't matter who the hell you are or where you came from to me personally. If you're there, you're obviously there for a reason. You know what meeting you're at. And you're there, and they're obviously wanting the help or think they need the help. And we're there to help them.
I can think of a lot of other ways that people could show up at different groups and ask for some scamming information, aside from coming at an AA meeting. But I would say this, it doesn't really matter to me what they do for a living or where they live or what their arrangements are. But sometimes I like to know those things so I can help them better.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to know if they've been to an AA meeting before or not. It doesn't matter to me though, like if they have or not, but and sometimes it can help people with problems if, I don't know. I don't try to help people with their problems. I just try to,
give your experience.
share my experience.
Yeah. I have to be careful because I'm a fixer. You know what I mean? Like that's the personal thing that I struggle with. I want to be Captain Save-A-Ho or Captain Save-A-Bro all the time. And I have to set that healthy boundary of not being able, I can't do that. I can't save my face and my ass at the same time. I got to keep it on me.
Yeah.
But in saying that, with me working directly with the homeless, like, it's hard sometimes when I go to a meeting, like my own personal recovery meeting, and maybe someone from the homeless community is there. I want to help. Like, and I have to set that boundary. Do I do it? Do I take them and get them a cheeseburger after the meeting and talk recovery with them, or do I not? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I still fight with that
Yeah.
struggle
We just
today.
talked about this today on our
Empower Hour.
Empower Hour meeting, that I struggle with when because I just recently started working for Genesis House, and I've had to kind of break that separation of like, I still have to go to my own outside meetings other than Friends in Recovery so I can fit in and I'm not looked at differently, or just things like that, like I don't have to be that expert. Do you know what I mean? Like when I show up everywhere, I can just show up at my outside meeting. Like you said, Joe, like I'm not working for Genesis House. I have to take off that hat and put on my own recovery hat when I show up
Separating
at
your
my
own,
outside meeting.
separating your own work
Right.
from your personal recovery.
Yeah.
We actually need more
struggle.
meetings.
The struggle is real.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
All of
the
us
other
need
thing
more meetings than regular, really.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we
Another
work
thing,
in the
I
guys,
really believe that, Sky.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the thing is, too, guys, because we're around when we're working with people, we're around the unhealthy part of the people. We're not around the healthy people,
disease, yeah.
right? And Joe, you're right in the boat with us. We're getting the people who are fresh that need detox. I can't even remember who we are 30 days later after they come out of treatment, and that's
Right.
not. For us, to grow, that's not healthy. We have to be
Right.
around people who are healthy, who know more than me, who can teach me. Now, do I want to keep it green? Of course, I want to never be across the desk. If Joe is looking at, a homeless person that's just, starting to come around, I never want to be that person again. But I have to be around like-minded people that are going to help me grow too. So, and it ties into tradition 3. All I need to do is for membership is have the desire to stop drinking. That's it. That's all I need to do. And then somebody's going to pick me up and take me by the hand and guide me through things. If I just say all I want to do is stop drinking, because I remember early recovery, when you raise your hand, yeah, I just want to stop drinking. Can somebody help me? How many guys are giving your phone numbers and, and writing, but way back when we used to write in the back of the AA booklets, because we didn't have the internet, but you start your name and everything, you used to pass around, for Ed, and there was 30 guys' phone numbers on there, so, and that's it. It's tradition 3. The only requirement for membership is the desire to stop drinking. So, I think we're going to close here. I think we did a pretty good job on tradition 3, a lot more than I thought we were gonna. Joe, you want to plug the podcast one more time before we close out?
Absolutely. Dayton Strong Recovery 101, YouTube, Instagram. Yeah. Facebook, brain fart. Apparently 20 years of drug abuse does that.
Well, welcome.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah, you're not a unicorn.
Damn it.
And you're welcome back on the show anytime, Joe. You have fabulous.
Thank you.
Great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We really appreciate it. Guys, make sure you go check out Joe's podcast, Dayton Strong Recovery 101. Dayton Strong.
You got it.
Recovery 101. Dayton Strong Recovery 101. Check it out. I see it every day. Every other day at least he's putting a podcast out, right? So, and before we go, I do want to mention, guys, we can't leave because Carl's probably feeling bad because we have somebody else on the show from another podcast. So we have to give Carl a little sympathy here, or a little empathy here, I should say. And we love you, Carl. Sober Pod. They're the West Coast of the East Coast, Friends in Recovery. And listen to him. He just did a good interview last week with I think his name was Rick. The guy had a great voice, great friggin' voice for the radio and a podcast, but had an amazing story too. So if you guys get a chance, go listen to Rick's story that Carl interviewed him on. So, but you guys know Carl. He's just one of us, man. He fits right in with us. You
told me about it.
To LA, so I should hook him up with Carl.
Yes.
You told me about it yesterday or the day before. I've got it written down right in front of me, so I'm checking it out myself. Yeah.
And all of
They're
our
funny,
listeners,
too.
our listeners go back and forth. And of course, make sure you listen to Joe's podcast too. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. What a wonderful, I get squirrely at the beginning. Oh, we're not going to have much to say. And,
And we
but,
can't
I know we could probably keep going on, but people are like, really? I got to get going. This has been on an hour and a half already. So, but one thing I always just want to say is stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.